if Mark Zuckerberg decides to flick that switch and say, no, I don't want to do this no more, I'm shutting it all off, every single person's account gets deleted. And then what? So Web2 essentially was built by young white boys, right?
Yeah.
There were young white boys at the time. You've got the Elon Musk, the Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
There's this whole notion of code bias, right? And algorithms being biased because the people who built the algorithms only know what they know. Like, if we all decided to chip in and actually be a part of the build,
right,
it means we can change the next 25 years. Don't be a part of the problem by staying quiet and not doing nothing.
Come on, be a part of the solution.
And the solution is getting involved.
What would you recommend those parents who have children and young people that are into coding, that are into games? You know, we know young people sit in front of the computer for 10 hours straight and into gaming.
It's just really important that you go full force in being able to teach them what is coming in the future as opposed to teaching them what you already know. This is the Promisingpreneur podcast. I am Aahliyah Amerat, and today we're going to be talking to myself. And I've got Phylisia here, Phylisia Richey, to support me on that and ask me questions about a couple different things that I've done over the past year. Hackathons. I have been to a good couple hackathons this year, and they've been amazing. It's the first time I've ever experienced them. And as a non-technical person, I feel like there's a lot of things that people don't understand about hackathons, and also if you're trying to get into the tech space, there's a number of things that you probably need to know about hackathons, and the information is kind of not out there because everybody assumes that it's very technical. But I would urge anybody that's kind of interested and into technology, or even being a part of the new age technology that's coming out, which is Web3 and blockchain and all that kind of stuff. If you're into, even if you're creative, I think it's something that you should most definitely look into, even if it's just to learn a little bit more. So I wanted to have this conversation with Phylisia because I don't want to look like a YouTuber. I'll be 100% honest with you. And I don't feel like this podcast should be static in that sense. So I wanted to have more of a conversation. So thank you again for joining me.
It's my pleasure. I
kind of dragged her along, as I do. But yeah, so I want to ask you something. As somebody that's not technical at all, that doesn't really know anything really about this space, when I started talking about hackathons or like going to New York and going to Miami, all of the things I kind of came back and spoke to you about, what was your thoughts at that point?
Well, first of all, it was I was like, hackathon, what is that? I just thought of, I don't know if you know this Netflix series, quite old now, but it's called Person of Interest. And it was with Harold and this other guy, I can't remember his name, they were the main characters. And they were in charge of like, just this techie stuff, just, what's that word? Like when they hacked into people's things. So I'm thinking, oh, Aaliyah's going into this big room. All she's going to do is have can of Cokes around her and junk food. And she's going to hack into people's business. Like, how, where, what? That's the first thing that I thought. But obviously I knew it had to do, initially that's what I thought, but I was like, no, Leah's not going to do that. And then I understood about CREATALAND and stuff like that. But the thing was that we would obviously have meetings as the Promisingpreneur team, talking about filming dates, talking about the guests that we're going to be talking to. And then you'd be like, oh guys, I'm going to a hackathon next week. And I'm like, huh? How? Like kind of thing. So for me, that's what I thought hackathon was. But I loved how you broke it down, and I would love you to break it down for people like me who are not technical, who don't really know anything about tech, and definitely don't know what a hackathon is.
Yeah, I mean, what's actually funny is I thought the same thing. I genuinely thought hackathons was when you hack into people's businesses. That sounds absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like now for me it sounds ridiculous. But at the time I fully understand why that even came to mind. But no, what a hackathon is most definitely a group. It's a congregation of developers and technical people. I thought originally that it was just technical people, just people that understood technology, understood how to code, understood how to develop, how to design, whatever it may be. And I didn't think that there was any place for anybody other than that, right? So I never approached going to one or anything like that. Maybe I've heard like in some unis they do hackathons and things like that. So maybe somebody that's gone to uni would have a different experience of what hackathon could be. But not going to university or anything like that, I had zero clue of it, right? So we got to, 27? Yeah. Got to 27 years of my life and had zero clue of what it was. And I got asked by Oyen Adebayo, who is the founder of Neo.
Nice. Who we obviously
Group.
had an episode on one of our episodes.
We had her on one of the episodes. She's just a phenomenal powerhouse. She actually just randomly called me. No, I actually called her regarding coming onto the podcast.
Wow.
And then that same conversation, she was like, "Oh, actually, what are you doing next week?" She was like, "Do you want to go Miami?" And I was like, "Do I want to go Miami? Of course I bloody want to go Miami. Like, who doesn't?"
Yeah, you're a lover of the clouds, so yeah.
Absolute lover of the clouds. I mean, that is my happy place, the plane. Yeah, she's like to me, "Do you want to go to Miami?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. What's in Miami?"
So she is to blame for the abrupt, "Oh guys, I'm going to Miami next week." And I'm like, "Huh? What?"
Basically, because she literally told me proof about maybe 8-9 days before.
Yeah, I remember that.
Before the actual flight.
Yeah.
And that was just around the time that we was planning when we was going to launch Promisingpreneur.
Exactly.
So that was back in May. And yeah, she was like, "Do you want to go to Miami? Do you want to, it is a hackathon. You can go there and you can win prizes. You can win bounty money. And you can basically present your business idea and your business concept that's based within Web3 technology. And yeah, just speak to investors, and like it's just a great place to kind of go." And I was like, yeah. I mean, that was legitimately the only lowdown I had on what a hackathon was. I then said yes. She was like, "Right, no problem." She was like, "You're gonna have to put through an application with her DAO." And at the time, I didn't know what the heck her DAO was. She's said the words her DAO, and I'm like, okay. I'm not asking too many questions because I want to go to Miami, right? So
Right.
I didn't say anything, and I was like, yeah, sure. Put through the application. She sent it through to whoever the administrators were, and they've kind of contacted me, and they were like, "Okay, yeah, cool. We're gonna sponsor you to go."
Sponsorships, just love them.
And I was like, "Sponsor me to go?" And I was like, "So what? What does that mean?" Basically, just meant go for free. And I was like,
To Miami.
I said, yeah, okay.
Wow.
Obviously, I have a real interest in technology and Web3 and where the world is kind of going, where it's moving to with technology. So my interest obviously strengthened my case in terms of on the application. However, I was just psyched for the fact that I wouldn't have to pay anything, because who doesn't want a free holiday?
Exactly.
I mean, I thought it was going to be a holiday until I got there, and it's not much of a holiday. However, so yeah, what a hackathon actually is a place that technical and non-technical people can go. You go there to do an extreme amount of learning in a very, very short, concentrated space of time, right? So a hackathon generally is essentially there's competitions. You have around 48 to 36 hours to basically do one whole year's worth of work. So you come up with a concept, you're not allowed to go to a hackathon and have a preconceived concept. You have to make up that I mean, you can have an idea of it, but in terms of actually working on that idea and having kind of your plans set out, maybe you're having like some of the tech already created, you can't have any of that, because then it's unfair to the rest of the people that's also a part of the hackathon. You go there, you could have a preconceived like just an idea of a concept, of a business plan. You then meet a bunch of people from all different backgrounds, all different places, like depending on what type of hackathon you're going to. So where I went, Miami Activate and Wormhole, they are two Web3 companies essentially, and they partnered together to create the first hackathon that was multicultural and completely diverse.
That's nice.
So it was a lovely thing to be a part of, like that mission that they had. And we'd gone there. There was probably, I think there was about 86 or 89 teams. And there's probably...
That's a lot of teams.
There's 89 teams competing for bounty prizes. Bounty prizes is basically different companies will give a certain amount of money or give a certain amount of sponsorship or something if you was to use their company within your business. So, for an example, Google has storage.
Right.
Google has storage, and you have to pay for extra storage on an iPhone. Then you've got iCloud storage, right? You might not know because we've got a traitor over here.
Whatever. Steve Jobs is her uncle, so both their uncles, the creative director as well. So they're forever.
Sorry, I had to put that in there. My bad. But yeah, basically, say you have storage. So as you're building any kind of technical company, so say you're, say Instagram. Instagram needs to be able to store all of the pictures we upload somewhere. So it needs to be uploaded and stored and kind of saved in some kind of cloud, in some kind of storage facility that is online. Yeah. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So say iCloud or Apple was one of the bounty prize givers.
Right.
So they would be there, and you're building your concept for your business, and in that you're saying, okay, my company's going to be I'm going to be another YouTube. Where am I going to store the videos that people upload?
Yeah, like the data and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Where's that data going to be stored? Therefore, I need to add iCloud's facilities in my company. Oh, no. So now, instead of me building my own storage facility in the cloud, I can then essentially just partner with them, and they can essentially be my storage. Yeah. So there's loads of different companies that have things that we would be able to use as as partners as our in our businesses. So
sorry to cut you. So bounty prizes is not just about money. It's also about resources. It's about brands that you probably would have never had access to. You're able to have access to that through hackathons.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then imagine like an expedition. When you go to any kind of expedition and you've got loads of different companies and you walk around and you talk to them and they give you information, and then they like support you and they show you about their own work, and they may turn around and say, oh yeah, like you've got you may get like an extra discount for using this or whatever. Yeah. Like that kind of, it's exactly the same concept. So you go to this hackathon and there'll be a massive hall, and there'll be tons of like exhibitors, and those exhibitors will be those companies that you can essentially partner with in the hackathon. If you use their company in your business, you then are eligible for winning their prize money. So some of them may be 2,500, one may be 10,000, one may be 5,000, one may be 500, one may be 200. It just depends. So that you can use unlimited, you can use as many of them as you wanted, right? So you can apply for as many bounties as you want. So essentially you can go to a hackathon and end up winning thousands because you've used every single one of their protocols.
Wow.
Right? And then the actual hackathon themselves will have like maybe a first, second and third prize, like which is like the grand prize of the actual whole hackathon.
Yeah.
So you essentially have like this massive room, huge exhibitors in one kind of area, then another area, maybe like an assembly hall where the main organisers will kind of introduce what the concept of the whole hackathon is, what your what say the rules are. So there's rules to the competition, what the prizes could be, and then what the like maybe whatever the protocols are for that weekend. So I didn't know none of this.
Because this is your first time, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I didn't know none of this, and I also didn't. Any kind of hackathon thing I looked at online was honestly just not my cup of tea. Like it was just boring as hell. So I just didn't watch it, or I didn't consume the information to learn what a hackathon would be or what to expect, because I just wasn't interested in those kinds of videos, because it didn't relate to me, right? None of them were female, none of them was of colour, none of them. Do you know what I mean? Like it just wasn't that. And something that is like a really big thing within the technical communities is that there wasn't. I'm going to say wasn't, because we're on a massive mission to change that, right? But there wasn't a lot of women, full stop, and there also definitely wasn't a lot of coloured women or coloured people per se, right?
That's nice.
So so the idea of being able to go to this place and win prize money for your business concept, I was just like, this is great.
Yeah.
Now I'm going there completely solo. Don't know anyone. Like Oyen wasn't going because she's got her own company to run in the UK, so she wasn't coming. So I didn't know anybody. I'd got to the airport and I'd met a woman called Lena, absolutely lovely woman. She's from Germany originally, I believe. Please, if that's wrong, my bad, Lena. But I'm sure she is. She is a developer, a young woman, proper cool. She basically met me. She didn't know me from nowhere, but it was the nicest thing, because she was like, okay, I'm in Heathrow, like, where are you?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm in this blah blah this kind of place. We ended up meeting up, and she ran up to me as if she knew me from years back.
So how did you guys meet? Did you guys meet at the airport?
So if I go back a little bit, her DAO is HERDAO. So a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. And a decentralized autonomous organization is essentially a community of people where it's a new type of governance, right? It's a community of people that they don't essentially have hierarchy. So there is no central person like CEO, right? Every single person a part of that community can contribute towards building that community and building businesses or making money or whatever it may be that they want to do together.
Interesting. So it's not a pyramid scheme?
No.
Nice. Do you remember when we were, it's so funny because like, you know, like you can be open and you can hear about all of these opportunities and stuff like that, and then when you actually go, I remember when I was in college and there were so many pyramid schemes out, but the way they packaged them was like, yeah, you can be a millionaire, you can get so much, you can be driving a Range Rover at 21, and when I went there, it wasn't really like a hackathon, but the setup was kind of the same, and I was just there and I was just like, oh, you guys are selling me a dream. So it's really good that this is not a pyramid scheme type thing, and it's something that everybody is absolutely like so far from what a pyramid scheme is. Like a pyramid scheme essentially is somewhere where you go to make money. A decentralized autonomous organization, you make no money. You're there because you're a part of a cause. You're there because you want to make some kind of change. You're there because you're on some kind of mission. Nice.
So everybody is contributing their time, their effort, even probably their money to make that dream or that mission happen. So her DAO is there to be able to support as many females and non-binary people into technology. Like that's it, in like the most plainest, simplest explanation. The mission is to be able to get way more, especially women of color as well. So the essentially the founder, Tracy, absolutely another cool woman. Even though she's the founder, she's not the person that makes every single decision and says yes, no. Like she's not that person, because in a DAO there is no one person that makes decisions.
Nice.
Collectively, everybody votes, right?
Oh.
So yeah, if somebody wants to do something, because they say the concept will go into the group, and the group will then say yes, no, and if a lot of people turn around and say yes, then they go with it. If people turn around and say no, they don't do it, right? So you have to, you have to kind of have a strengthened case to be able to present it into a DAO for it to make sense to everybody, and for everybody to agree. And essentially decentralization is exactly that. There is no central entity, there is no one person that makes all of the decisions, which is currently the issue that we face within Web 2, right? So Web 2 being social media, being you look at Facebook, Instagram, all like Mark Zuckerberg. If Mark Zuckerberg decides to press a button and shut everything off, all of these influencers, all of these people that have made their money through creating profiles on Instagram and Facebook and wherever it may be, if Mark Zuckerberg decides to flick that switch and say, no, I don't want to do this no more, I'm shutting it all off, every single person's account gets deleted. And then what? Where's their businesses?
Wow. Can I just say, so you're saying that's under Web 2. So under Web 3, there's more freedom. So are you saying, so I'm going to say this, but basically the shenanigans that Donald Trump was doing during his presidency, and when they turn off his accounts, are you saying that if he was to do that again under Web 3, and I'm not obviously saying this for political sake or whatever, but are you saying that if the Web 3 was live and running and the new thing or present, nobody would be able to do that?
Potentially.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So essentially freedom of speech it's the idea of less control, the idea that everybody can be a part of it. There is not one person that dictates who is a part of it. So Web 2 essentially was built by young white boys, right? Yeah. There were young white boys at the time. You've got the Elon Musk, the Jeff Bezos, like all of these people. There were young boys at the time going to uni in their dorm rooms, whatever it was, right? Creating whatever they were creating on the computer. And they there's this whole notion of code bias, right? And algorithms being biased, because the people who built the algorithms only know what they know. So if the person who built the algorithm and built that code is a young white boy, and they've never been exposed to black people, they've never been exposed to Indians, they've never been exposed to Africa, whatever. Yeah. They've never been exposed to anything other than Silicon Valley. I mean,
interesting.
They're only gonna add into that code and into that algorithm what they know, right? So that whole notion of code bias and like the bias that is in Web 2 at the moment, and why, there's loads into that, but we'll just go like quite technical. That essentially will be eliminated, or can be eliminated, with Web 3 if used correctly, right? And also, if enough women, people of colour, like if we all decided to chip in and actually be a part of the build,
right,
it means we can change the next 25 years.
Yeah.
Right? And that is what I was drawn to when I first kind of went into the hackathon space and started speaking to all of these amazingly talented and amazingly smart like individuals, like all of these females and all of these other people that have such knowledge, extensive technical knowledge on certain things. I'm like, damn, like I'm just one little small fish. I have got a clue what's happening. I mean, I definitely went there and I overtly turned around and said, look, I'm completely non-technical. I don't know what the heck is going on. I'm just here because I'm trying to build a technical team and I'm here to win this competition. That's it.
So let me just even like highlight the fact that obviously through past episodes, you know, the famous line of yours is, I didn't like school, but I loved learning. So I know that you're open to learning new things, trying new things. I know that you love the clouds, so you're open to traveling and going outside of your comfort zone. And obviously you haven't just traveled because of hackathons. You've gone to Thailand on a solo trip by yourself and stuff, so forth like that. So it wasn't a shock to hear you say, oh yeah, I'm going to Miami next week for a hackathon, something that you don't even know about, but because you're open to learning, you went. But again, on other episodes, you've spoken about your time in school, your time in college. You know, you didn't study tech. My remembrance, you wasn't really into it as much in both school or college. So being a non-technical person and going to a hackathon, or when that opportunity came up and having no experience in tech and not being a technical person, what would you say drew you to go to a hackathon, something that you didn't know about? And then like, where did the new emerging passion of tech come from?
That's a good question. Honestly, I don't, actually, I do remember as a young person, I remember going to coding classes when I was like 14, 15.
Okay.
I don't know how I ended up going to these coding classes, and I remember they were in the Azizia Turkish restaurant, which is on Stoke Newington High Street, like this beautiful like Turkish mosque and restaurant and shop kind of thing. And I don't know who put it on. I can't remember any of that, but I vaguely remember going to this coding class.
Wow.
And it's like a you know, like in 6 weeks where you've got your camps that you go
Yeah.
to. It was one of those. But at the same time, I was going to I was dancing in carnival. So because of I was going to these coding classes, I probably went to a few of them, but I actually lied to my grandparents and said that I went to the coding classes on the days that I went to dance training for the carnival.
Wow.
So I didn't end up finishing the coding classes.
But that was a seed being sown into your future.
Right.
That's crazy.
So I only went to a few, and as you said, that was probably what planted the seed for me. Don't know what the heck I learned. I don't remember any of it. I just remember that happened. And then I got to, I've always been interested and really into like game theory, right? And game theory essentially is the idea of being able to teach somebody through gaming, or the idea of somebody learning through a means that they understand more than the way that we think we should teach them. So I'm not a gamer, never been a gamer, anything like that, but I was always fascinated with the psychology of game theory. So growing up maturing within business, I essentially went into teaching business through beauty. And teaching business through beauty was kind of the first step in me realizing that there is a different way to teach somebody. There is a different way that people can learn. And kind of disguising like percentages and maths into, and like disguising budgeting into beauty. So then the person that's listening and learning from you, they're not realizing they're actually learning budgeting, or they're learning how to do profit and loss forecasts.
Yeah.
They're not realizing that outwardly. All they're kind of interested in is the fact that they're talking about doing eyelashes and getting this client and that client and how much revenue or how much money they can make from that, because they don't even know what revenue may be. Or do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like that. As I was doing that, I felt like technology was the only way that I could mass teach without it being me standing up teaching. So that's when my passion for technology kind of came in my head. I knew that I wanted to get to the masses, but how do I get to the masses when I'm only one person?
Right.
How do I get to the masses without having to physically be there consistently? Because one thing from reading Rich Dad Poor Dad as a young person, Rich Dad Poor Dad would essentially taught me that there's the cash flow quadrant, right? You've got people that are employed, you've got people that are employed and self-employed are essentially in the same bracket, people that are in business, people that are investors, and people that are like contractors and self-employed, right? So let me say that again. You've got people that are in employment, then you've got people that are self-employed and contractors, then you've got people that are in business, then you've got people that are investors. Those 4 categories of people, I have since 14 years old strived to be in the investor category, in the business and investor category. And that essentially means...
That's goals.
That essentially means being in the business category, it means that people work for you, right? People equals money. The more people you have to do a job, the more money you receive per person.
Yeah.
Right? Investor means money works. Money makes money, right? You put in money, you don't put in your time, you don't put in people, you put in your money, and that then returns as more money, right? Then you've got self-employed and contracting. Now, self-employed and contracting essentially is glorified employment. That's it. If you're enjoying this podcast so far, this is only going to annoy you if you're a hater. Click subscribe, click follow, and drop a quick comment. And if you've done all of those already, then send me a 5-star review, because honestly, it's the only way we survive on the internet. Thank you. Right? I never wanted to be stuck in that realm, which is a very, very easy place to
be stuck at, right? Uncomfortable.
Right, and a lot of people turn around and be like, yeah, I run a business. No, you don't run a business. I'm not knocking you for what you're doing, but you're not running a business, because what a business is, it means that you don't have to be there anymore. A business at this point in time, for yourself, if you're self-employed, is you putting in your time in exchange for money. The difference between employment and self-employment is that you can choose the time that you put in, right? Whereas employment, you can't choose the time that you put in. Your time equals money, right? You get paid per hour, you get paid per situation, right? So for me, self-employment was a trap. And even though I was going into beauty, I was always like, okay, how can I now make money where I don't have to be the person physically doing the work? So I created courses. From courses, I then went into trying to think bigger. Okay, at the time, I didn't think about online courses until I think it was 2020. I started doing online courses.
Yeah.
Because then I was adding in the tech to everything else. I was like, okay, so how am I going to do this? But back in the day, probably 8 years ago, whenever it was, I was striving towards trying to find a way that I could make money without having to physically be there, put in any of my time and effort on a consistent basis. I do it once, it becomes autonomous, it becomes automatic, and it just happens. So I'd say that's where my interest of technology sparked.
Wow.
Fast forward to 2020, pandemic, and we had a shitload of time.
So much time.
Shitload of time, and the only thing I'd done was immerse myself in technical papers, technical videos, what's coding, what's developing, what is game theory, I was learning things that most people wouldn't even look at. Like, don't ask me why. I was looking at quantum science. I was looking at all of these things that just randomly like sparked an interest for me. And then my concept of building a game that teaches, which is a part of the CREATALAND vision, or the CREATALAND long-term vision, building a game that teaches creatives how to monetize through Web3, and creating a platform where creatives are able to learn life and business skills through non-consequential learning, which is gaming.
Yeah. So something like Sims. I remember growing up watching. Actually, Sims force-wiped a lot of us. We couldn't wait to get older, have our own house, have our pet, have our boyfriend.
Then get married.
And stuff like that, and have babies. Sims was the one. And I remember, it's so funny that you say this because I wouldn't class myself as a tech person, but I loved games. Sims was one of them, but there was another one called Cake Mania. And basically what it was is that there was this girl, you was the girl, and you baked cakes. So the beginners, you have like different levels. So level 1 and 20, you did like singular cakes. And then as you progressed, the cakes got bigger, the decorations got bigger. But I loved time management games. So Cake Mania, then you've got Diner Dash. All of those type of games were time management games. And so like for Cake Mania now, you do the designs, and then the more money you made, the more upgrades you had to buy. To obviously increase your work, increase the time that you bake the cakes, and to also just make your business better. And it's so funny that game actually helped me with Rochevier. So it causes me, because I played that game throughout my childhood, I know how to time manage well. Like, I know how to deal with like 5 clients at one time. I know how to say, okay, cool, like, let me upgrade on this or with this technology, etc., so that basically my work doesn't have to be much harder or harder. So it's funny that you say that, because I remember a lot of the games that I played, and honestly, it set me up for my future, my life now, basically. But I want to ask you this because there are 6, 8, 9, 10-year-olds that are into coding. There's schools, there's courses for children, for young people in coding. And I know with the distractions of social media, sometimes we don't really see that side of the world right now, but we are actually moving into Web3. So I wanted to ask you, what would your advice be for young people, youth, parents that have young children or young people? They may be in school, just like you, they don't like the school curriculum, but they love learning, they learn in a different type of way. I want to ask you, what would you recommend those parents who have children and young people that are into coding, that are into games? You know, we know young people sit in front of the computer for 10 hours straight and into gaming. How can their parent invest into their passion or their creativity in gaming? How can a parent do that?
I would most definitely encourage as many young people as possible, and as young as like primary school. If they're already into gaming and stuff like that, getting them into something like Roblox. Roblox is essentially where a young person or any person can create their own game and then play their own game, right? And essentially it's a very easy way of coding.
Right.
And then you've got like a bit more like advanced versions of that, but just moving them towards understanding how that technology is created will set them up massively for the future. Because at the end of the day, when you think about it, our jobs in the future is not going to look like the jobs that we have today. A lot of our jobs are, and Oyen said this in the episode that we done, but a lot of our jobs, our basic hands-on jobs, we would not need to do them anymore, because robots or technology will take over, right? And that's not a bad thing. It's just that education has to move with the times, right? You as parents, if you've got nieces or nephews or young brothers and sisters or whatever, you as there is no, it's your time now to move them towards actually learning how to develop those things, so they can be a part of building those robots that actually turn into your maids, right? Or your cleaners. Like, that is, it's just really important that you go full force in being able to teach them what is coming in the future, as opposed to teaching them what you already know. So being a little bit ahead of the times in that sense, because what a lot of people end up doing is going for kind of the traditional sense of education and going down, I don't know, maybe like it could be anything. Nothing's coming to my head. But yeah, it's like going ahead of the times and looking at what's coming into the future, and not looking at them and being like, well, you're just consistently playing games, like it's going to do nothing for you. Actually, if you put the right game in front of them and they get really into it, they could learn a massive amount, right? And as you said, you've learnt from bloody Cake Mania.
Cake Mania.
Do you know what I mean?
I still actually Google it to see if there's another version that's come out.
Right, exactly. But it's like, I know so many people. It's like my partner, he is currently like a football coach for young people, and his one of his dreams is to have is to manage a football club, and that passion came from him playing Football Manager. And he's played Football Manager from, 1992 or some shit. Up until today, the new one came out and he was like, yeah, I'm buying Football Manager. And he was, just a couple of days ago, he was up for about 3-4 hours. Instead of coming to bed, he's just on the computer playing Football Manager. But it's teaching him up until today, and he's a big old man, right?
Big man out here.
He's a big man. And it's crazy because it's like, what... So if I go back to like the hackathons, what a hackathon essentially can allow you to do, if you're a non-technical person or if you're a technical person, if you have a concept or an idea that you want to be able to create, whether it be a new game you want to make, whether it be a platform you want to create, or whatever it is, Web3 technology is on the up and up, right? Is on the massive rise. Therefore, there's huge conferences and huge hackathons going on across all over the world. That essentially they allow you to go and test your concept in front of people and maybe even gain an investment for it. So I urge anybody that's interested in any kind of building something, if you're technical or not technical, if you have this concept, go to these places and learn. The amount you learn by just talking to people, because everybody in that room, there could be anywhere between like a couple hundred people to a couple thousand people doing the same things. The person sitting next to you could even have the same idea as you, and you could form partnerships and end up building huge companies out of it. Or it could, like, the opportunities are absolutely endless when it comes to hackathons, right? And it was one of the best experiences I've actually ever experienced. So I thank her, Dal, for giving me the opportunity to go without having to spend anything. I thank Oyen for even calling my phone or telling me once I called her phone. Like, it was such an eye-opener to see the community, like the technical community, grow and become more diverse. And for me to then be a part of that change also. Like, why I'm doing this specific episode is because I really, really want to encourage parents putting their children in it.
Yeah.
Us as Black people, us as people of colour, and being in this kind of age of despair where a lot of things are kind of coming up to the surface, is like, don't be a part of the problem by staying quiet and not doing nothing.
Come on, be a part of the solution.
And the solution is getting involved, because there's space for you. There's ample space for you, right? And it's like, you could be anyone. Like I've said to my my director, I've said to DA, look, at the end of the day, you're doing video directing and you're doing videography and things like that. What about 3D videoing? What about filming in filming and using immersive technologies, right? What about you as any kind of creative looking at what the metaverse is, looking at what NFTs are? Cool, art, right? NFTs, basic rundown of what an NFT is. Non-fungible token. You can bloody Google what all of this means.
Well, we've
right?
been hearing about the NFTs through our comments, spammy comments on Instagram. So I am all ears right now. What is an NFT and what is it about?
So an NFT right now, the only use case people are seeing is people creating pictures and creating artwork, putting it up online and selling it as a digital asset, right?
Okay.
And a digital asset just basically means a digital, it's something that's digital that appreciates in value. Yeah, so that's what an asset is.
So is it like, you know, like the rich people that goes to like art galleries and says, oh, I like that picture. How much is it? Let's bid. Is it something like that,
Exactly.
but digitally?
Exactly. Right?
Wow.
That is currently the use case for it. So that being the use case for it at the moment, you've got Bored Ape Club, you've got all of these like huge blue chip NFTs that's kind of come out. And what people don't understand or don't realize just yet, or like the general public don't realize just yet, is that that's not going to be the only use case for it. That's not going to be the only thing you can do with an NFT, right? You think about, this is an example of what an NFT could be, and is actually already happening. As I said, an NFT is a digital asset, right? An asset is something that appreciates in value. Think of what's another thing that appreciates in value in the world?
Property.
Right. If a property appreciates in value, but there's only one property, right? There is no clone to your house, right? There is no identical version of your house that you live in, right? A non-fungible token is essentially a unique digital asset, meaning there's only one of that particular thing. There can't be another version of that thing. There can be another version, but they can't be that exact one.
Yeah.
Right? So a property essentially is an asset. If you take the deed of that property, yeah. So what the land deed to say that this is your house, right? If you take that and you make it into a PDF, it becomes digital.
Right.
That is now a digital asset. Right? So that digital asset can now be sold, which is basically you selling your house. So you sell that digital asset, you sell that deed, which is just a PDF of your signature, right? Once you've sold that, that is now the transference of your house from you to me.
Wow.
That's what an NFT can be.
We are going into that direction.
Precisely.
Well, we're already here, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like that was kind of the easiest way that I understood it. And I went to these hackathons and had conversations consistently with people to then whittle down to this kind of explanation. I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Right? It's like it's a secure way of selling your house. Now, that NFT, which is the deed to your house, right? It goes from you to me. Therefore, now there is a signature, there is a copy logged onto the blockchain, which is essentially a ledger, right? And a ledger is just somewhere that is a record of everything. So it was yours. You've then transferred it to me. You've made that transaction, and I've paid you for that. That now turns into my name on that deed, right? And on that ledger, it's now logged to say it's gone from Phylisia to Aahliyah. No one can then turn around and tell me I don't own that property.
Okay.
Right? Because it's logged onto this ledger. That ledger can't be changed.
Okay.
Right? So the whole concept of like NFTs at the moment, what people know of NFTs and this trading up and down and making things go to 100,000 and this million or whatever, it's fugazi. It's just foolishness, right? And why there's a massive like burst is because of the fact that everyone didn't understand what they were actually getting into. They just thought it was something to trade, but it's not just something to trade. It's actual assets that go up and down in value.
So let me ask you a question. So if I have a piece of art, digitally sell it to an NFT, I sell it to you, and it appreciates. So I sell it to you for £200, and I give it to you, and obviously it appreciates. So it's more money for it now.
Right.
But
the only way it appreciates though, so let me just step in there. The only way it appreciates is if you actually add value to it. It's not just going to appreciate for the sake of it appreciating.
okay, how?
Nothing's going to make it go up in value, right? So if you turn around and say to me, I'm creating this picture, I don't know, Bart Simpson. Yeah. You created Bart Simpson. I don't know why I even came to that. Yeah. you created Bart Simpson, like Bart Simpson's image before it was ever Bart Simpson, right? Before Simpsons ever came out. You created Bart Simpson's picture, right? You sold that picture to me and then turned around and said to me, I'm going to create a TV program, right? Ooh. Called The Simpsons. Yeah. And Bart Simpson is going to be the stupid son.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As years go on and Simpsons become more popular, the fact that I have now Bart Simpson's original picture and Simpsons is now one of the most most known TV shows, animations there are. Yeah. I now have something that originally cost 200 quid, now probably costs however many millions. Because of the value that Simpsons now has.
Now. But will I still get money? But you've got it now, but will I get a change? Guys, want the money?
So, yes.
Nice.
So because you are the original creator, for argument's sake, right? Say you're the original creator of Bart Simpson, you can turn around when selling it to me, say every time I'm selling it to you, but every time this image sells on, I want to earn royalties from it. So you could turn around and say, I'm setting the royalties at 10%. So every single time I sell, if I decide that I wanted to sell and I sell it to DA, yeah, he now buys it because, okay, so say you created Bart Simpson, you sold it for me 200, you've put a 10% royalty commission on it, right? I'm just holding Bart Simpson just because I think it's cool, right? You created Simpsons now. Simpsons are now blown up. It's 50 or 60 odd years in the making. It's done whatever it's done, right? I've now decided, you know what, actually, this has now gone up to like 2 mil, argument's sake. Yeah. I'm just throwing out numbers. Yeah. It's gone up to 2 million pounds. I'm now going to sell it. I sell for 2 million. You earn 10% on that 2 million.
Just for the record, yeah, I'm going to create something like Cocomelon as an NFT because Cocomelon has taken my money for the past 2 years and it's a great concept. So I'm just putting it out there from now. So if you are, I'm going to create an NFT just like Cocomelon. The concept will come, but this is sounding nice. Right. I loved how you broke that down because honestly, like when I heard it, I'll just skip like, okay, next story, or okay, scroll, because it's just like, I don't understand it. And it's not that I don't have the time to research into it, but you know, I love the fact that you said about it's more than trading, because when it comes to those things, it just, again, either sounds like a pyramid scheme or a scam if you don't truly understand it. So I loved how you broke it down, and I'm telling you, like, my blood is like dancing in me right now because I'm on my way to go make an NFT. But it's a great concept. So is this all under Web3?
Yes.
Wow.
So Web3, a simple breakdown of what Web3 is, it's the third generation of the internet.
Okay, just a little bit more.
Like the third, like right now we're in the second phase, the second generation of the internet, right? Mm-hmm. If you think about it, the internet has only been around for 27 years or so.
Okay.
25 to 27 years. Mm. It's in its complete infancy still. Like it ain't even got to middle age. Like it's, do you know what I mean? It's a young adult, right? So the third generation of the internet is basically the first generation of the internet was just read only. It was text only, so it was just emails. The second generation essentially was it was read and write. Mm-hmm. So
like MySpace, Bebo.
Exactly.
Wow, that's Web2.
Yes.
No.
And we're still in that phase.
Yeah. Instagram, Facebook.
Right.
Twitter.
And Web3 is the third generation of that. So the third step is essentially it's a more immersive and more free place.
So is it like Metaverse?
Metaverse is a part of Web3.
Web3.
You've got Metaverse, cryptocurrency, NFTs,
virtual gaming,
virtual reality,
virtual reality,
which is a part of like Metaverse.
Okay.
All of that is all under the umbrella of Web3. So the idea of kind of decentralization, where there is no one person calling the shots. The idea of the idea of having a more freer space and more controlled space. Like you control your own space essentially.
Yeah.
So as a creative, you control your own creativity. Like,
oh, that's nice.
That is one of the things that drew me towards it. I was just like, wow, like what are the odds? Like being able to make something on like digitally, whether it be a song, whether it be a skit, whether it be an image, whatever it is, to then be able to make money off of it without somebody dictating how much money you make off of it. So like a YouTube, right now you need what? I think a million views on YouTube only gives you like $2,000, like anywhere between $2,000 and $4,000, depending on what your click ratio, whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
Not YouTube, I don't know, right? Whatever your click rate, click per rate or whatever it is, you need 1 million views to get anywhere between 2,000 to 4,000. How bloody easy is it to get to 1 million views? It's not bloody easy at all.
It's not.
Right? Like it's years and years and years of work. It's consistency beyond measures. It's money, it's time, it's effort, it's everything, right? Not seeing anything to then somebody to dictate to you, you need 1 million for you to get a couple grand. Like it's a bit crazy, right? So the idea of what Web3 introduces is you have now the ability to own your creativity and make money from it the way you want to make money from it. And that I think is a really exciting thing. It's just
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, I just want to, lastly, just to truly give our listeners the opportunities to go to a hackathon. And I think I'll probably go to one just to see how it is. But actually, I wanted to ask you this question because in 2000, I can't remember, but I remember I just finished college and I got a full-time job at a travel agency, but it was a corporate travel agency for like businesses, like for CEOs, chairmen, etc. We handled their travel arrangements and stuff like that. And I remember I got the job. I had no experience, and I was truly like excited about this. Literally was traveling from zone 1 to zone 6 at the time, and they was like, yeah, come for training. And I went for training, and I was writing in code, and I'm like, I didn't go to code school. I didn't do ICT. What is this? And I was like, don't worry about it. You're going to learn, because the airports type in codes. So even now I know how to book my own travel, and I don't put London to Jamaica. I'll put LHR, which represents London Heathrow, to MBJ, which represents Montego Bay, Jamaica. So I learned these kind of things there. But I remember they sent me on a course, Amadeus course in Ireland. Obviously they taught us like how to write in code, And I remember I went there, I was so excited. That was the first time I ever travelled by myself, very young. The first time I ever travelled without my mum. I remember walking to the gate, crying on the phone to my mum. I was, don't worry, you're going to be fine. Because I've never travelled with anyone before. So I was quite anxious, and I went there. First day was great. Second day I was like, oh, I don't really like this. And then my friend hollered at me that day, my school friend hollered at me that day and was like, hey, oh my gosh, I heard that you're in Ireland. I live here. I was like, no. So I met her that evening. We went out, had a great time. Why did I wake up at 12 midday the next day? I didn't go to the training. I didn't do anything. I went I came back to London, came to work Monday. They was like, how did it go? I was like, yeah, I learned so much. It was great, blah, 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 blah. 12 o'clock came, lunchtime. I was like, okay, I'm off to lunch now. They was like, oh, before you go to lunch, could we just have a quick meeting, please? I was like, yeah, sure. Sat down. My manager was there. The director of the company was there. And a third person was there. I was like, okay, so how did your training go? I was like, it was brilliant. It was great. She was like, okay, well, I've got your attendance here and you didn't show up. I was like, oh.
I mean, why did you even think that was going to work?
I don't know. I was young. I was foolish. I was hyped because Ireland, it was free. They gave me euros. I've never touched another currency in my life. All I knew was pounds. So I was in Ireland living up the good life. Like, I had lunch at this nice cafe, this nice lunch bistro. Like, I was young. I was foolish. And I didn't truly see the opportunity that was before me. I just saw free travel, free food, free hotel. I've never stayed in a hotel by myself in my life. Had an ensuite, didn't know what ensuite was at that time. So I was opened to opportunities that I wasn't prepared for.
Right.
But I think if I knew what I knew now, I would have taken it serious.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you know, you spoke about her DAO. Sending you off for free travel, Miami, whatever. It sounds exciting. But how does one, especially if they're non-technical, if they're listening to this podcast right now and they're like, oh my gosh, I would love this kind of opportunity. I wouldn't want them to do what I did, not turn up and stuff like that. So how did you, and obviously this is an advice to them as well, how can they stay focused? How can they stay committed? And what are the tips that you can give them if they have an opportunity to go to a hackathon?
That is actually a great thing to ask because there is so many opportunities for you to absolutely make a shit show of going to a hackathon.
Wow.
Right? I didn't actually say this before, but that competition period is only, oh no, I think I did say it. It's only
36
up to about
to 48
hours, right? Which is essentially a weekend. You start at 11 o'clock on a Friday, and you have to hand in your submission, your competition submission, by 9 o'clock on Sunday morning, right?
Wow.
There is some people that will go to a hackathon and just think it's all fun.
So, sorry, I just have to cut you. Did you visit Miami Beach at that time? Or did you just...
Do you know what? I wasn't even going to, but on the very, very last day, I ended up going to Miami Beach for a few hours.
Okay, yeah, that's nice. So they can kind of like...
Right, no, so that's exactly what I was going to say. So it's like, you could go to a hackathon and get so lost in... You just get lost in the sauce. You can go... There is ample amount of parties, alcohol everywhere, food beyond belief.
I would get distracted with the food.
This is what I'm saying. So there is, like, one thing I would definitely advise if ever wanting to go to a hackathon is know what you're going for.
Right.
Right? If you're going to if you're going for a good time, right? Know that there are people that go to a hackathon for more than a good time. Right? So you've got some people that will go that literally just want to take advantage of the free food, free travel and excursions, right? And the excursions could be brunches, it could be nights out on the town, it could be beach days, it could be yacht parties, like legitimately fun as hell, right? Like fun as hell? No, fun as heaven.
No, yeah.
Fun as heaven, right? But then you have to understand that you're not gonna win a competition by fluking it and just by doing nothing,
right?
And by kind of staying out all night and not doing anything, or not actually working towards it and not working within those kind of 36 to 48 hours. Like, you're not gonna win the competition. So if you're there and you want to win, understand that there is a level of commitment that you need to have towards that hackathon, right? So I remember a situation that so I went to New York. My second hackathon was in New York. The first hackathon in Miami, I ended up winning a couple of the bounties, which was it was brilliant for me to do that as quickly as I did, having no technical experience, not knowing anybody at all, not ever going to hackathon, not knowing what to expect, not knowing anything. I literally immersed myself in that learning and immersed myself into the hackathon as if I was meant to be there, right? Like, I was like, I'm not here to play games. I'm here to learn. I'm here to network. I'm here to have fun, but that's not play games, right? There's a difference, right? So yeah, I'll go out. Of course, I'm going out and for a little drink with the people that I've met, because I'm still networking.
Sure.
We're still talking. So I'm not going to just be like, oh no, like you go out. I'm just going to go back to that. No. I'm going out, but I'm going out not to get drunk, but to I mean, I don't drink, so that doesn't really even. It doesn't even. But
I understand what you mean.
Do you know what I mean?
Not wake up 12 midday like me and miss.
Basically, right? Like I'm there with a purpose, right? So it's like knowing your intentions for going to a hackathon is very, very important, right? Knowing that there is a lot of opportunities for you to have a massive amounts of fun. However, you need to understand that you do stay out extremely late and you do get really drunk, or you do get really high, or whatever it may be, and you're just not on top form the next day. If you're a part of somebody's team, right? If you have a person that is trying to build something and you've decided to be a part of that person's team, but then you decide that you want to go out instead of dedicate your time in the 36 hours or the 48 hours, you're then not just letting down yourself, but you're letting down the whole team, right? Because if that team now is essentially relying on you to do your part, right, to win that competition, right, and then you don't turn up, or you don't contribute as much as you could, or whatever it may be, you're now causing a massive amount of strain and a massive amount of stress for the whole team, right? So it's like, it's not fair then. If you know you're there for a good time, be honest and open from the get-go and be like, do you know what, I'm not even going to be a part of the hackathon, I just want to have fun. I'm going to float around and talk to everyone. No problem. That's by all means, right? But then if you're there and you want to dedicate yourself to winning the competition, then you want to say, okay, cool, like, this is the expectation for my team. This is the, like, we all know our boundaries, or like, what we're dedicating, what we can dedicate, what we can't dedicate. And another thing is, know that you only have a very, very limited amount of time to literally do a whole year's worth of work. Come up with a concept, come up with the tech for it, come up with a presentation for it, come up with a pitch for it, come up with your forecast for it. The whole shebang.
Yeah.
You have to do in those 48 hours. So the intenseness is crazy. So, you know, when we're talking about snacks and loads of Coke and loads of coffee, it's literally that. You don't
so I was right then.
You don't sleep.
Wow.
So the fact that you don't sleep, right, your emotions are already heightened. You're tired. You're like all kinds of things. And God forbid that a female's on a bloody period at the same time. Like, because I tell you,
the dragon has been released.
There's a lot, right? There's a lot. And I'm only saying that because, funny enough, my second hackathon in New York, I had a really difficult, like a difficult team member. And both my teams in Miami and in New York, they were absolutely amazing. Like, they're all individually amazing. Even this difficult young lady, she was amazing. However, it was my bad, because I was still also inexperienced in not understanding the level of kind of clarity I needed to have, because in my head I just thought everyone was here to hack, but they wasn't. Some was here to have a good time, some was here to go off and do whatever they wanted to do. So in the 48 hours that we had, I'm like, go. Half the team is like, go, and then you've got one or two people just floating around, and I'm like,
right,
but what? So then emotions started getting all completely heightened, and we haven't slept in 24 hours already, and we're like, do you know what I'm saying? So there can be a massive amount of pressure in hackathons. You have to be extremely prepared for there to be an extreme amount of pressure, right? But don't make that put you off, because at the end of the day, we ended up winning some of the bounties, right?
Well, I only sit with the winners, so that was expected. So well done.
Thank you. but it's a really proud moment to then win. But someone as ambitious, someone as ambitious as myself was pissed that I didn't win more.
Ooh.
I was pissed that
You won it all. Wow, amazing.
We could have easily, but because everybody wasn't on the same page in the team, we wasn't able to do as much work, right? So it's like, yes, you can go for a good time. There's food, there's drinks, you've got an after party, you've got different events. Like most of these have like huge conferences where there'll be like little hubs where you can go and learn extra things, maybe about some of the brands that's there or whatever it may be. Like it's an extreme, intense weekend of pure learning, pure networking, fun times, distressing times, and ample opportunity, because you don't know what comes from that. The amount of people that you're going to meet that know somebody that knows somebody, or that has a company that needs you as an employee, or that needs you as a contractor, or that needs you as a business, whatever it may be. Like opportunities are absolutely endless going to a hackathon. So non-technical and technical, whether you're a designer, whether you're a creator, whether you are even in like social media, video editing. In one of my presentations, as I'm presenting, one of the things that I wanted to show was a video. Now, I'm decent at creating videos, but if I had a video director there or somebody that could kind of film the process, because at the hackathon, as you're presenting, these people want to know that you worked well as a team. So to know that you've worked well as a team, a 30-second kind of reel or a 1 minute reel to kind of show the process and the times that you was having fun, or the times you was up at 5 o'clock in the morning, or the times that you was arguing maybe, showing all those things. A video director could have done that. So then it would have taken away the pressure of me that had to create the pitch and the deck and the this and the that. A writer, a lawyer, understanding the law of the business that you're doing. So as you're pitching, you can then have the upper hand and be like, we've had a lawyer on the team and they were able to advise X, Y, and Z. And it doesn't matter who you are, what you know, there is something you can contribute. And then having an extreme amount of clarity. If you are the team leader, if you are the person that comes with the concept and you have this vision, then as a team leader, being really open with from the jump how serious you are, right? That's really important to kind of set kind of expectations and just know that everybody is expecting the same from each other. Not just as team leader you expect everybody to do everything and you sit back. No, it doesn't work like that. It's you do your dedicated work, that person does their dedicated work, that person does their work, and everybody holds everybody accountable. Like the amount you end up doing by holding each person accountable is crazy. Like I was able to build a whole platform in that one weekend for the Promisingpreneur and create 2 NFTs and smart contracts for the Promisingpreneur, which is something that we will put out eventually. But all of that was done in a hackathon.
Within 48 hours?
Within 48 hours. I validated the concept by pitching it and then winning bounty prizes. But number 2, I was able to validate it with people as I'm just kind of talking around telling people my idea. And number 3, I was able then to use that amount of work in my actual business in real life. And everybody that was a part of the team was able to learn something, and they were able to be pushed, and they were able to do different things and have the experience of a hackathon that they never would have had before, right? So yeah, whether you're a developer, you're brand new at coding, you're brand new at developing, full stack, front end, back end, game design, whatever it is, there is a space for you to kind of go there and learn 10 times more than you already know. And I think it says a massive amount for what for how education is anyway. Like education right now, you don't learn from doing, you learn from just reading books or like
remembrance.
Remembering information. When it's like you go into somewhere like a hackathon, it allows you to immerse yourself in that learning, and you learn from all different aspects.
It's a lifetime experience.
Yeah, you learn from reading, from talking, from doing, from completely everything.
Oh, that is brilliant. That's exciting. That's
is.
definitely something, if your child has an interest in coding and stuff like that, or your young person, you know, push them, let them go into what you think their interest is in. And I love what you said about setting them up for the future and not necessarily about the now. We are slowly going into Web3, and you know, our children, like my daughter knows how to change from one episode to the next on Cocomelon. Like, I'm like, you're only 2. How do you know how to do that?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So that is really good. And as you said, it's not just for tech people. Hackathons are not just for tech people. It's for people that could be lawyers, even content creators and video. Yeah, the opportunities are endless. Thank you for enlightening me about the NFT though. Yeah, soon come. But yeah, it was this was a very informative
there is a lot more
sessions.
to it, of course, that I will be definitely going into more details about Metaverse and all of that kind of stuff. And there's actually an episode that we done with Taran 3D where we talk about where he's currently building a Metaverse, which is like phenomenal. But he's a 3D artist, and just like he created the augmented reality of Perry the mascot in
the games
for the Commonwealth
Games.
It's just amazing what technology can do if used for good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I urge everybody to take a look at it. Even if you don't understand it, ask questions. Like, everybody within the tech community is actually really, really open, like extremely lovely people. So yeah, don't be scared.
Oh, nice. I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you. Speak to you soon, babes.
Speak to you soon.
You was just listening to the Promisingpreneur podcast. I am Aahliyah Amerat, and thank you so much for listening all the way through. Don't forget to click subscribe and share to at least one person, because that's the only thing that's going to fuel us to carry on.